If you've seen any of my recent videos, you'll have seen some really quick solo GMs platinum on Arc Hunter, most recently being an 11-minute The Disgraced. Lots of people in the comments have been asking for how this works, what perks I'm running, what mods, fragments, aspects, and so on, so I figured I would make a video explaining the build. Firstly, you need to be on Arc Hunter. Your abilities should be Gambler's Dodge and Combination Blow. For Hunter, I prefer Pulse Nade over Storm Nade, but this is personal preference. Aspects, you need Flow State and Lethal Current, and then the fragments I recommend are Shock, Feedback, Resistance, and Ions. This is what causes the core part of the gameplay loop. The way it works is that killing an enemy with a charged melee will grant you Combination Blow, which fully refills your class ability, provides some health back, and also grants you 60% additional melee damage per stack up to 3x. This is multiplicative, which means at 3x, you're dealing 410% more melee damage. Gambler's Dodge is then used to recharge this melee ability, and due to Lethal Current, that next melee ability will also jolt the target and creates a damaging aftershock. Basically, it just deals more damage. Since that target gets jolted, killing the target will then grant you amplification, and while being amplified with Flow State, you get plus 55 reload speed, 97% damage resist while dodging, and 200% additional class ability cooldown, just in case you miss a dodge. For our fragments, we chose Spark of Shock because Jolted Pulse Nades or Storm Nades are ridiculous. Feedback provides a 75% additional melee damage for 5 seconds once you are physically struck by a melee. Resistance provides 25% damage resist while within 15 meters of 2 enemies, and Spark of Ions will provide an ionic trace when you kill an enemy affected by Jolt, which is on a 10-second cooldown. Ionic traces give you 12.5% grenade and melee energy and 15% class ability energy. This is used just to help get our grenade back quicker. For armor, the most important piece is the Assassin's Cowl helmet. This helmet gives you invisibility on powered melee kills and also heals you on those kills. The invisibility timer scales based on the enemy's tier, which could be anywhere from 7 seconds to 14 seconds for these powered melee kills. It also works on finishers with higher timers, but for the purpose of this build, we only kill enemies with melees. For armor mods, I recommend either Hands-On or Dynamo on your helmet. Hands-On costs less and requires Arc, while Dynamo costs a bit more but requires Void. Both work well, and one provides super on melee kills, Hands-On, while the other provides super on dodging, Dynamo. Other armor mods I suggest are Melee Wellmaker and Well of Ions. Ions will provide you 30% extra melee damage for 10 seconds on your first melee after you pick up an Arc Elemental Well, which is given by Melee Wellmaker, so you can see how that loop keeps going. If you're keeping track, this means in a perfect situation, you would be dealing 932% extra melee damage. That's X3 Combination Blow, Ions, and Feedback. Reaching this doesn't matter, because all you really need is X3 Combination Blow, but obviously the more damage you deal, the better it'll be. I also ran X2 Bomber for 18% grenade energy on each dodge, and then Impact Induction for 20% more grenade energy on each dodge. This will give you a grenade melee loop that looks like this. Obviously, the grenade part of this build isn't that important, but if you're using this in a GM that has overloads like Fallen Saber, getting a ton of grenades just makes it so much easier because you can pair it with Surge Detonators to stun the overloads with those Pulse or Storm Nades. In future seasons, you obviously wouldn't be able to use Surge Detonators, so you'd need to run an Overload primary or have someone else stun it, and as a result of this, in future seasons, this build would be less effective for Overload Unstoppable strikes, because you can mitigate anti-barriers, but you can't mitigate both Overloads and Unstoppables. To top everything off, we also pair this with a 1-2 punch shotgun. With 1-2 punch, if all pellets from a shotgun hit, you will do 200% extra melee damage to enemies except bosses and vehicles, which you do 350% extra melee damage, and that's for 1.22 seconds after you hit the shotgun shot. This means at max potential, to a boss, you would be dealing 3,261% extra melee damage. That's a lot of damage. One thing to be careful of is that Combination Blow does not refresh on kills from the Jolt caused by Lethal Current, but it does make you invisible from Assassin's Cowl. This means that stacking up Combination Blow can be a bit tricky at first, and the way that I worked around this was by weakening an enemy to get X1 or X2. In the Disgraced video, you'll notice that I purposefully body shot a drag with Arbalest, because I knew a body shot Arbalest drag takes 1 melee hit, and then I would be able to use that to get Combination Blow X1, X2, and so on. And honestly, that's basically it. Once you get to X3, dodge, and then you can 1-2 punch melee barrier, it'll die in 2 melees. Refresh Combination Blow, turn you invis, and then you repeat. You can definitely go further with this and pair it with things like Tractor Cannon to hit enemies with a 30% debuff. However, that's getting into a bit more of an advanced gameplay, and I think most people watching this aren't too worried about that extra 30%. They're just curious about the build, why use certain things, and so on. I've added a dim link in the description as well of the build that I use for it too, if you just want to copy that. Alright, have a great day everyone.